Did you know that some films spend as much as $200,000 just to be considered for an Oscar nomination? For more such unexpected truths on independent filmmaking and distribution, tune into the new podcast, Distribution Advocates Presents. Hosted by Averill Speaks, the podcast tackles elements of film distribution. With her guests, she also talks about how to make these systems more sustainable to empower independent creators. Find Distribution Advocates Presents wherever you're listening to this podcast.
There's an acceptance that is happening with me right now where I just only care about doing the work and good work and not caring so much about what the internet says or what even a colleague has to say. Like, if you like it, you like it, that's great. And if you don't, then you don't. Like, it's all good too.
Filmmaker Magazine presents Back to One with Peter Rinaldi.
Lukas Gage is an actor. He sat down with me on the Upper West Side of Manhattan to talk about the work.
Do you have a typical way that you like to begin your preparation process when you get a new character? Is there a typical first step that you take to kind of wrap your arms around how to play this new person?
I think it's probably different for different characters that I play, but I think for the most part, I would say I work from the inside out, I guess. Mm-hmm. You know, I have to see where it lives in me before, you know, figuring out the physicality or the voice, or I kind of just start with the basics of like the 5 who, what, where, mm-hmm. when, you know, classic drama school mm-hmm. acting class thing. But it works, and I think I like to read it first without any emotional footprints, kind of just read it by a little flat, to not try to have preconceived ideas or ways of playing anything. I just kind of like to read it as an audience member rather than seeing myself, and then slowly seeing where it lives in me and the things we have in common, and starting with the things I have in common with the character, I think is helpful, and then starting to be like a detective and see where we're different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then when you see where it's similar, is this something where you're pulling then information so that you can actually respond in the way that you would respond, or is it just satisfying you that you're having that connection in general?
Yeah, I think just having the connection in general, because I don't think there's a lot of characters that I connect to or, you know, can see that aspect of myself in, but I don't think I would respond in the same way. But it's just a way to make me either not judge them if it's a really shitty character that I'm playing and on the paper they just seem like a complete horrible person. It'll be helpful to not judge and say, okay, well, where can I see that aspect of myself, not necessarily of how I would respond to this situation, but when have I been this person? And then sometimes it's like, it's not even that. Sometimes I'll read something and I'll be like, that is truly my cousin. I know exactly who this person is, or that is the kid I went to middle school with and hated.
Yeah,
you know? I'll just tap into something, and that is a way in, at least, just to start getting my creative imagination running and all that stuff, you know.
How long have you been interested in this endeavor?
I think since I have like childhood movies of me saying it when I was 3, I was going to be an actor, but I don't even think I knew what that meant, really. I just would watch movies a lot as a kid, and I think really when I became...
I heard with this, when you were 9, you were secretly calling agents?
Yeah.
Without your mom knowing?
Yeah, I sent out headshots and a resume to agents without knowing. They would call my house and be like, my mom would be like, who is this?
You don't hear that often.
Yeah.
You really don't hear that. That's really adventurous.
She was the opposite of a stage mom. I think she just didn't know. She didn't even know where to get started or how she could be helpful, or if these people calling were even real. But so I think by around 11, 12, that area, I got a Canon for Christmas, and I forced everyone in my neighborhood to do these movies, and I would direct them, and I'd edit them on Final Cut Pro, and I'd act in them, and save up money to get zombie makeup or whatever, and do like the whole thing. And then at that same time, my mom finally answered the phone to one of the agents and agreed to let me meet them, and I just kept booking commercials and stuff. So I think once I started booking it and making a decent amount of money as a kid, I think she was more open to it, or more receptive, and maybe a little impressed that I figured out how to do it myself. You know?
Was this a desire to be, quote, famous as a child, or was it like, or did you really have this performance need?
I'm sure there was a little bit of both. I'm sure I wanted attention as a kid, and I'm sure I was lacking attention and an ability to express myself in other areas in life. So I thought acting was a good place to do that. But I did always secretly love it. I was embarrassed about it for a while. I didn't tell anyone at school I was doing these commercials. I didn't tell anyone at my school that I was doing drama and doing theater and plays. I did it in a different town because I was scared. I don't know why. I wish I could go back in time and not be such a wimp about it and take it in school. But I kind of kept it a secret for a while, but I loved it. And I think just like making those movies in the neighborhood with all the kids, and they were like, I don't know if it was acting per se, or I just wanted to do storytelling.
Yeah.
I actually thought I was going to be an editor for a long time with the Final Cut Pro. I loved manipulating performances of my childhood friends. That was so fun to me.
Yeah. I did that too as a kid, but we're going back quite a ways, because I found like just same thing, neighborhood kids made a feature on VHS tape, edited inside the camera. Now this is before, I would have loved something like Final Cut, but I found a journal recently of the making of that movie that I was writing every day. This will pinpoint it exactly. I got mad on one of the journal entries, and I wrote, Bobby and Petey want to leave the shoot early to go watch Full House because the twins are being born. That was it. So I pinpoint the exact night that thing was on.
Yeah. It's Mary Kay and Ashley.
I guess it's not quite what Coppola went through when he did Apocalypse Now. But for me it was. Yeah. It had the same terror and horror.
I love that.
But something about that, something about the imagination ignited in that. I mean, that's what your mother was seeing. Your mother was seeing, right, that this was bringing you to life.
Right.
That this was and she was seeing that there was something that was fulfilling something in you, and that's why she wanted, right? She wanted to see if you could do that actually with professionally or whatever. Just keep going with it.
Yeah, I stopped during high school completely, and I just was kind of getting in trouble and doing normal teenage stuff, and then when I graduated early and I got my shit together, the thing that I kept going back to was I want to make movies, I want to act, I want to edit, I want to write, I want to direct, I want to do all that stuff, and so that was the thing that kind of helped me have clarity and also get out of trouble, and just became super focused, and moved to LA on a 17 and lived in a motel for a couple months, and just blindly went there without knowing anybody, and just was determined to make it work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Was there a development at this time of your approach toward comedy? Was it in opposition to what you were seeing, that you were kind of doing what you were doing and then therefore landing auditions because people were seeing something new, or was there something that you were emulating?
I'm not sure, because I think, I did a couple of I only did one episode of a multi-cam sitcom Disney comedy, and I hated it. I hated every single minute of it. I didn't understand how the jokes were funny. I didn't get it. I didn't get the laughing with the audience. Just everything felt so completely, it felt just foreign, and I didn't get it, and I felt like the only person that wasn't in on the joke.
Yeah.
And so I remember doing that and being like, I'm not meant for comedy. I think I'm just meant for, dark, brooding stuff. But then I opened up my curiosity to other kinds of comedy and just watching movies that I genuinely thought were funny as a kid and going to improv shows and stand-up shows. And I think watching improv and stand-up when it's good, is really, that's inspiring to me. Like, and it takes a lot of courage of just not being self-conscious and not giving a shit if you're disliked, or you just have to be ballsy. And I still haven't done stand-up because I'm scared to death of it, but I'm a big fan of it. And I started going to a lot of stand-up shows, and there's a rhythm to it. And it is a little bit technical, but I think that was the biggest thing, that was the most helpful thing for me. And then just working with people that I admire, like I had no right to be in a scene with Jennifer Coolidge and Molly Shannon, and just seeing how they operate and their ability to improv is insane. I didn't even know that was possible to do until I saw them on set.
Interesting.
So I think that was, I really learned by working with people that were much better than me.
Yeah. Well, that's the way everybody learns, right? I guess. Did you have to develop a certain approach to auditions at a certain point that was working?
I did. I think auditioning is a different muscle than acting. It's completely different than being on set. And I really went in with an approach that I think kind of worked, where I would just do the opposite of what everyone was going to do. So
that's brilliant.
If it told you to scream, I would whisper. And it was, that's not something I would do on set. I wouldn't, just be different for the sake of being different. I think that's the kind of the kiss of death to acting. But I think for auditioning, it's a different thing. And I was like, okay, I have no credits, barely any credits. There's 300 kids going in that look like better looking versions than me, or have more of a resume. So I better do something pretty weird to get, at least if I didn't get the part, there would be I could see a head turn, or I would see casting get excited about something different. So I think that is a good skill, is just what can I do to excite them that's going to be different. Yes. But also still grounded in the character. You can't just, go in there screaming like a crazy person and, hope that works. I've done that before. It doesn't work.
Especially if you're the first person on the list, they would be like, what the fuck is this? Is it in the script that he's supposed to whisper this and he's yelling?
Yeah.
Like, but if you're the last,
it's great.
Oh,
you don't want to be the last, but you don't want to be the first. You want to be somewhere like middle towards the end. Yeah. That's what I've noticed. Get like that 3:00 time slot when we used to go in person.
Right. And it's about, what you're hitting on there is showing imagination within the actor.
Yeah.
Is attractive to people. Even if you're not doing it the way they have it in their mind, especially if the director is there.
Yeah.
Then they're like, oh wait, he's got imagination.
Right.
He has a creativity, and that, which is not maybe the first adjective that you would think an actor should have, but it seems to be very, very attractive and important.
Yeah, I think not trying to get it right is a really good thing.
Boom.
Because there is no right. There really isn't. And maybe you do that weird way and you have 2 other ways prepared in your back pocket that are completely different, because you're probably going to do it a couple of times.
Yeah. And
I think people want to see that. They want to see you do a strong choice, and can you take direction, and can you do something spontaneous and new, or kind of spontaneous because you pre-planned it, but can you do something different and take adjustments? And also, I don't know, there is just a little bit of a different beast of auditioning that doesn't have anything to do with how you're gonna be on set. There's some people I know that are really, really horrible at auditioning and really good on set. And then there's some people that are amazing in the room, and then they put a camera on their face and they get really tight.
Yeah.
And, but it's a muscle that you learn.
Is there an environment on a set that is more conducive to the way you want to work and makes it makes your job easier?
Yeah. I think when I'm working with a director who has a very good vocabulary and can say stuff in as little words as possible and not overtalk things. You know, I've worked with a director who can say one word and completely, all my gears are shifting in a different way, and I know exactly what he's talking about by one word, and I haven't, you know, I do think you can talk things to death and kind of ruin spontaneity or have it too planned out, where, you know, I like a director who is open to collaborating on the blocking and open to what's going to happen on the day. I love a rehearsal, but I also love to throw the rehearsal away and be open to finding something new and fresh in the moment. So I think like it's two things: people that are into being collaborative, and a crew that's there and you guys are all working together in a synchronicity, and then a director who doesn't overtalk, because I think you can kill a scene.
Yeah. What you just said might be more to the point here, which is that why don't you have a collaboration with the actor in terms of blocking? Why don't you, in the beginning?
Yeah.
I mean, forget about, even if it's not perfect for the camera, let the actor settle into the space and own the space. Doesn't that make sense?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. I think at least to start, right? And then if there's like a technical note with lighting or whatever, and it doesn't work for camera, then
after
you can adjust.
After a while, you can adjust because you're there and you feel good.
Yeah.
After a couple takes or something.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's just that very beginning part.
Yeah.
Where you're stiffening everyone up before we've even settled in. You could stiff us up and get us on lines and on markers after we've been there a bit.
Right.
I don't know why. How long have we been doing films? We've been making films for 125 years.
Yeah.
Isn't this something, you know, but maybe good people do this? I don't know. But this brings up the thing about the actor-centric set. I mean, how many times have you been on sets where it seems like things are revolving around the actors fully? Is that rare?
I would say it differs. Sometimes it's definitely actor-centric, but a lot of times, like especially the stuff where you're, you know, talking to a piece of tape on a blue screen, it's not actor-centric, and you have to just be accepting and adaptable of it, and it feels insane.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel uncomfortable, but I think the goal of the actor is to stay loose.
Yeah.
Try to just accept the technicality of the thing that is uncomfortable, but after a while, your body does get used to it.
Yeah.
I think that there needs to be, you know, just a collaboration across the board as the actor, as the director, as the writer, and, you know, especially people that are writers and directors, and they want you to hit every, you know, every punctuation and comma and sometimes like you want to be like, let me just roll with it once.
Yeah.
And then I'll go back to what you have written.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Because it's not just, it serves many purposes doing it that way first. It's not just like to get out the nerves. It's to actually see what the actor can do and like what the actor might be imagining for this. The whole thing, why that's scary for some people, like, oh, they're going to run away with this and it's not going to be the way I want it or something like that. Just chill out. Everybody chill out.
Yeah. I would say too, if I would like it, if possible, to be a reason for why.
Right.
Rather than, and sometimes the reason literally is something as simple as like lighting and the frame and whatever. So, but if there's some kind of way that they can talk me into it, even if they're lying to me and totally just doing it for,
that's fine.
That's fine. But maybe just make it a little bit more of a way for it, so it feels more like a conversation.
Right.
You know?
Right. And not a command, and not like feeling like we're all slaves to the tech side of it. Because then that takes away some kind of magic. That's so true, man. Have you always been writing?
Yeah.
And now you just wrote something that got made.
Yeah.
And was this a hard process to actually transition into having people take you seriously as a writer?
It was. Yeah. I think I think people are scared to take a gamble at times, and I get it. I don't have any experience as a writer except for the little shorts I've made as a kid and the several scripts I made that never got made. So I get it. And it was, it was not too hard, to be honest, with this one. And this was a script that me and my friend Phoebe, we wrote in a weekend, and our agents told us never to say that again. But we wrote it in 2 days, and we didn't think much of it. We just did it as a writing sample to show a studio. We were going to get paid to write another script, but they wanted a sample of a script that we had done together.
Interesting.
So we wrote it in a weekend, and we started this other script, and then the pandemic happened. And then they called us a month later and they said, hey, what about that writing sample that all takes place in one house with 4 characters, that we could do that during COVID? So it was kind of just being very lucky, right script at the right time kind of situation. Yeah. But yeah, it's hard for people to take it. They see you as an actor, and so they're like, oh, of course he wants to be a writer. Yeah. But yeah, I learned a lot, and the script's not perfect. I'm proud of it. It got made, but I've grown a lot even since then, and the other scripts I've made since then. And I'm like, it's just kind of like my acting too. Like if I watch even stuff that I do now, I just think sometimes you're really good at your job and sometimes you're not, and that's okay. And I don't think that if you do a bad job as a character or a bad job on a script, I don't think that necessarily makes you a bad actor. Right. I just think you can just see it as a job, and sometimes we're good at it and sometimes we make little mistakes.
Right, and there's a lot of factors involved
100%.
In all of that.
Yeah.
But isn't that interesting? There has to be something to the idea of you guys writing that kind of with the pressure off. Like it's like it's just a sample.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like using another muscle that you don't normally use, because you're trying to impress because you want this to be a sample where they can see you writing, but you're just using some other aspect of your brain, sounds like. And you might want to always be tapping in on that.
I think I try to. I think honestly, not to bring up the worst years of everyone's life, but like the pandemic, it changed me as an actor too, because suddenly it became less precious, and I was like, I don't even care anymore. Like we don't even know what's going to happen with our lives. So screw this audition. Like I'll just do whatever I can, and let's see what happens with this writing script I make. And I suddenly took the pressure off myself in all areas of my life, which I think is maybe one of the only positive things from that time that we got out of it. But I think it did kind of change my perspective, and then jobs started to come in more frequently.
Yeah, it's amazing. You probably can't talk about Roadhouse, can you, at all?
No, I could talk about Roadhouse.
You can? Are we going to be happy?
I think it's good. I think it's more of a reimagining of the movie, and I think it's really fun and weird and different. But yeah, listen, classics are classics for a reason, and I get why people can be, sentimental about trying to keep those things close, but I like it. I think it's fun. I think Jake Gyllenhaal is amazing. And then the rest of the cast, like Conor McGregor and all these other characters, it's so insane. It's so wild and it's so camp, which I think the original is a bit camp and fun and just ridiculous. And I just kind of miss movies for the sake of entertainment, just for the sake of being fun, nothing else. There's no important message going on in Roadhouse. There's no lesson really. It's just a fun action-packed movie with huge sets, and
that's amazing.
Yeah.
And what character do you play? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can tell you about that character. I play Billy, the bartender that Jake Gyllenhaal's character basically comes into the bar, and he teaches me how to not get my ass kicked all the time and learn how to stand up for myself and learn how to throw a punch properly. And he's like my hero in the movie. Yeah.
How was this guy to work with? You worked with him before? This Gyllenhaal guy?
No, but I grew up being obsessed with Donnie Darko. I memorized that movie at like 11.
Oh, I think I heard that.
Yeah.
You memorized the entire movie? The
entire movie, yeah. The entire movie. I still have all the therapist scenes completely memorized in my brain.
So how freaky is it?
To be acting with him? It worked really well for the character. The first day I have some line that I think my line is, I'm a big fan of you. So I'm like, okay, no acting required.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
tell Jake Gyllenhaal what a big fan you are of him. And then I walk off. That was my first line on the first day of work. So it was a good icebreaker. And then, I think the first day I was, freaking out and fangirling and wanting to talk about Donnie Darko, but I didn't. And Bubble Boy. And then by the end of it, Jake's great. He's such a nice guy, and he's just a normal dude.
Nice. Did you? He had to get really buff, right?
But he got jacked.
I mean, you're already kind of buff.
Thank you. I don't think I am, but I'll take it.
Does this guy have to get buffer as the movie goes on because he's something like that?
I think I had the easiest role in there that I get my ass kicked. So I did do fight and stunt training for 2 weeks, but I didn't have to be as good as Jake and other people. I could be like, okay, your body's not amazing and your punch is a little off, but it works for the character.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good role to have.
Yeah. I didn't want to be Jake or Connor with like a 12-pack and a perfect roundhouse kick.
Right. Connor's acting.
Yeah.
And so what was that like?
I think he did a great job. And the thing I will say about Connor is he was so eager to learn, wanted to learn, asked everyone for advice.
That's so cool.
Like there was no ego involved whatsoever. And he was great. I actually really liked working with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that says so much when somebody who doesn't know is asking questions.
Yeah.
And when they're, Mr. Tough Guy, and they're still able to ask questions, you know what I mean? And it says so much about him.
Well, I think that's what makes Jake so good too. I look at him and he's like a role model to me who's been acting for 25, 30 years. I don't even know how long, but you're just like, he's a pro, and he'll still have moments where he approaches it fresh, like a beginner, where he asks questions. He will ask you, did you feel that? Did we connected? Did you like that? Like, he's so in there with you, and there's no ego or like a jadedness, like I've been doing this forever, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I think that's what makes him so good.
Right. Marcia Stephanie Blake was saying she was in Merchant of Venice with Pacino.
Wow.
And she was kind of hiding she had a Shakespeare version that had the regular and then like the modern English.
Yeah.
You know that one? And she was hiding it and like had her real script, but like was looking. Pacino walks in with it. Not afraid and not hiding it. You know what I mean? Still a student.
Yeah, still a student. Still a beginner. A beginner's mindset, like always an open, it's an acceptance and an open to anything, open to any kind of note, open to any kind of adjustment, open to any feedback. Like that is what I think separates the amateurs from the seasoned people that are, they're open to anything.
Yeah. Ideally, do you want to be directing and writing your own material that you can be starring in?
I do want to direct, but I don't. It's a lot of responsibility. Yeah. It's a lot of work, and I have a tremendous respect for directors that are great, and even the ones that aren't great, actually, because it's just so hard. Yeah. It's so hard. I do want to. I don't necessarily think I could write, direct, and star in something. I feel like that's just too many hats on. And even as an actor, doing the words that I wrote, I could feel myself sometimes putting on my writer's hat while I was working, and that wasn't my job. So I had to keep checking myself a little bit and reminding myself, like, that work is over. Yeah. Now I'm here to do this job. Yeah. So I think I want to do all three. I don't know if I want to do all three simultaneously. Yeah. You and I have something in common. Yeah. We were both on Gossip Girl. Oh, yeah. I was an extra. Nice. Love it. And you played yourself. I did play myself, yeah. In the finale. My 3 days were horrific, but that's another story. But if you're appearing in something as yourself, there's a certain level of fame you have, and a certain level of, I don't know, there's this
aspect of this now, of this work that's added on to this that you have to now manage. It's not just you as a entity out in the world. It's this other aspect. Now, people might tell you to cultivate this. And is that something that is a struggle? Is this something that you're getting good at, have been good at, want to continue, wish you didn't do that?
Dude, I don't even know. I think I gaslit the world into thinking that I could play myself in 2 shows. I did it in the other 2
Oh,
in
really?
Gossip Girl.
Oh my God, I didn't know you were in the other two.
Yeah. The other 2 was so much fun. God, I love that show
Yeah.
and everyone in it. I think they're geniuses.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't get it myself. I think I tricked like 2 showrunners into thinking that I'm important to play myself. I don't know how that happened. I don't think I deserve to be playing myself at all. I remember for Gossip Girl, the showrunner asked if I would do something. I think somebody dropped out that was much more famous and important to me. And I wanted an excuse to have a free ticket from London to New York. I needed to get off my other set that I was working on and go to New York. And
That's
then
brilliant.
the other 2, I wrote a letter to Chris Kelly and Sarah during season 1. And I said, I know that I'm not important enough, but if I ever become even just like slightly more, I will play anything on the show as myself and make fun of me in any way. And then season 3, they hit me up and asked me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, he asked me while I was filming Gossip Girl. It was on set of Gossip Girl playing myself. And he's like, I have you as yourself. And I'm like, is this my life?
It's the hardest role you've ever played, right?
I actually...
Are those 2 characters different on both of those shows?
Yeah, I think they're both not actually myself. They're heightened, exaggerated versions of myself, and the douchiest parts of my personality turned up to like 100 degrees, I would say.
But do you know what I mean, though, about how at this point then, because of those things, and because of other, just a presence that actors seem to have nowadays, once they reach a certain level, do you feel like that this is a juggling that you have to do about this, about yourself as a persona, and that actually has to be dealt with because it leads actually to work?
I kind of disagree with you on that. I kind of think it
I'm
should be just about the work. It should be just about the work. And I've had a really hard time with where personal and public, where the intersection of that is, and how much I'm supposed to reveal of myself and how much I'm supposed to, like that. I've always veered toward the side of stay a mystery and be an enigma. And clearly I fucked that one up by fucking getting married on TV and then, posting a viral video. So that was not smart on my end probably, but it was all fine. It all happened for a reason. And I think now I'm in this place where I'm being guided back to just the work. Just keep it about the work.
I see. And so this is like a conscious steering back.
Yeah, I don't think it was, I got lost into it and wanted to become a personality or a famous figure or anything like that. I think I just think I got distracted, and now all I care about is the work, and I don't even care. I used to care so much about what people thought and what they thought of my role or my acting, and crumble if someone said I sucked online, and now I'm just like, I don't care.
That's great.
I just want to keep it about the work. And it's like I said earlier, maybe I did suck in that. Maybe my accent was shit. Maybe my acting was off, or there was a bad day at work, but that's okay. Because I know that I'm a good actor. I know that I'm good at my job, but I know that I'm going to be bad at times. And that's okay too. But there's an acceptance that is happening with me right now where I just only care about doing the work and good work, and not caring so much about what the internet says or what even a colleague has to say. Like if you like it, you like it, that's great. And if you don't, then you don't. Like it's all good too.
That's great. That makes me happy, man. I'm happy that I was worried you were going to say, yeah, this is part of the job now, unfortunately. This has to be done. Actors have to do this, unfortunately, now. It's not like it used to be.
No.
You have to cultivate this idea. And I don't want that to be true.
I don't want it to be true either. And I don't think it is. What I do think is you didn't have Audrey Hepburn doing Instagram ads for Armani Beauty or, tequila. Like, and that is a real thing that I can't knock any actor down, because we're not getting paid like we used to on a lot of things. Right. And if someone has to do a sponsored ad and do that, and it sucks, because I don't think you don't go into becoming an actor to do like influencer sponsored ad work, but at the same time, it's great money, and it gives you the accessibility to do with the thing that you love more, like to be able to take care of your bills and do that play that makes you no money, or do that indie movie that you make no money on. So I do have a problem with people knocking people for doing that, because I don't know, when I see my friends posting, I'm like, go get it, do what you got to do.
Yeah. Well, you've actually kind of changed my mind about it just in that second. Like I think I did judge actors about that, but you're right. And I think this is just coming to my mind lately, because I just talked to somebody that's in one of the best pictures of the year, nominated for Best Picture, and he's like worried literally about money, like to feed his kids, like, and how he has to choose now based on money. It's not even like choosing something for more money. It's actually choosing to feed, and like he's successful, and that wasn't never like that.
No.
That has changed. That's changed.
It's a different world, and especially with, I won't get into the whole strike stuff and the SAG contracts and the residuals, but we got screwed. Mm-hmm. Actors got screwed on it, and I think that people have an idea of, you're on a show, so you must be doing great and making a shitload of money, but I don't think that's always the case, and I think there's a little bit of a misconception at times. So. Yeah, I get it. I get why you would have judgment, but also I see my friends doing it, and sometimes I do it, and I'm like, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Buy that apartment.
Yeah. Is there something that you do that nobody knows that you're good at yet, that you want, in terms of acting, that you want to do? And you haven't been given the opportunity to let that part of you out yet?
I'll say this. I think for every role I have been in every TV show, every movie, I have always pretty much gone out originally intending to be the number one, number two. I always lose the leading man part, and I get put in the supporting category, which is fine. And sometimes those characters are more fun. It happened in Euphoria, White Lotus, tons of other things, and that's okay. But I've only led one film, and I think I want people to see that I could have a leading role that could have a clear arc, and not be in service to that character, And so I guess I want people to see that, but I'm also I'm grateful and happy to be doing it. I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy to be working. Yeah. And it is fun. Sometimes those supporting character-y type of roles are actually a lot more fun. And I think I definitely get caught into playing villainous fuckboys, bad douchebag guys. And I think I'm trying to make an effort to not do those, even though when people see you do it once, they get 100 offers to do that again. And that's enticing, because you're like, I want to make money, but also I've done that already. So I want people to see that I can be likable in something.
Yeah.
But I do like playing unlikable characters. I don't have a problem with it. So I just think seeing myself seeing people seeing me doing things that they haven't seen me do yet, and branching out, and leading something.
I want that because you're good.
Thanks.
I'm just speaking as an audience member now.
Thanks.
Lukas Gage, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Back to One is a production of Filmmaker Magazine, which is a publication of The Gotham, formerly IFP. Listen to back episodes of this podcast at filmmakermagazine.com or wherever you get your podcasts.